everybody. It's Georgia Rose, and it must be 7 o'clock Monday night because I am in the soul space. But today I'm not in my real studio at Strong Island. Today I am in my home. So welcome, welcome. Boy, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. So I hope you're all finding me on YouTube. I'm actually going to share the show on my page right now so you all know I am live on YouTube. Let me just close that. And if you want to chat or say anything, you can do that on the YouTube channel. So fire away, guys. Fire away. Want to hear all your comments tonight. So basically, I'm going to talk about astrology tonight. I also want to talk a little bit about give you guys some guidance in this energy. And then if we have time, I'll pull some cards. It's just such an intense next couple of weeks with energy. And I don't mean that necessarily in a negative way. It could be a negative or a positive. It's up to you. We all have choices. And that's what this show is about. So one of the things that I really wanted to stay in touch with you all about, I'm just going to give you guys a few minutes to pile in. And if you would share the show on your pages, that would be really great. I'm going to post all that now, live everywhere. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was from now on, we're going to try to go live mostly on YouTube instead of the Facebook site first, because it's just a better platform. And we feel like it doesn't, Facebook sometimes has so much technical glitches that we thought if we went to the YouTube channel, it would really be much more reliable for you guys and be able to give you guys a better show. So you can still comment on the YouTube channel. I'm going to watch your comments tonight and you can just pile in and do that. Also, my channel on on YouTube, Zenkuda, is a great place to follow me. I don't only just have the show there. I have a lot of other videos about astrology and just spiritual wisdom and my own journey and things like that. So definitely, if you have not yet done it, subscribe to Zenkuda, Zencuda. Usually I have that logo in back of me when I'm always in the studio. So the first thing I want to talk about today is when we have choices and we're in an intense time like this where we're really at a crossroads, because like I've been talking about in the last few shows, it's really a crossroad between choosing the way that we've always done things and what was and what can be. And I hate to sound a little Kamala-ish, but really choosing the way we want to move forward. And these are really big crossroads because we have a lot of planets that are changing from one sign to another in the next several months. And especially Pluto is going to be going into Aquarius in November for next 20, 30 years. So this is a really big change of a lot of energy between now and the end of 2025 into the beginning of 2026. We have more planets changing signs in a small increment of time than we've ever had in the history of the cosmos. So this is indicating big change in our life, in our microcosm where we live and the things we do, and also in the world in our macrocosm. So I want to talk a little bit today about staying in our soul space and that push-pull that we all have between soul and daily responsibilities. It's such a huge thing for all of us. But there's a few tips that I'm going to give you and some guidance. First thing I want to do is show you guys how I spent my day Saturday in love. And as you guys know, I'm a breast cancer survivor. That was one of the things that really put me on my spiritual journey and opened my soul space. I always say cancer was one of my most beautiful gifts, although it didn't feel like it at the time, right? And so Saturday, October is breast cancer month. And Saturday, my local coalition where I'm on the board did a breast cancer walk called Laps of Love. We have a beautiful garden in our area. And here we are, all of my peeps. These are all of my work pals, my work family. And they all came out to do this walk. And the weather was just absolutely stunning, gorgeous autumn day. That's my admin, Laura. She's also one of my very, very good friends. I love her. There's me with my little pink antlers on and my little pink braids. It was such a day of celebration, and everyone came out just to support women and men in need with gynecological and breast cancers. And you could feel the love in the world. And I had to MC the event, so I had to get up on stage and introduce a lot of dignitaries and get some ladies up who we were honoring. And then we had a big survivor strut walk where everybody walked around the lake and then took the stage. And then we had a DJ and he was pumping up the music. And it was just a beautiful day to honor the people that we've lost and celebrate the triumph of anyone who survived. And so you couldn't help but just, I'm getting kind of choked up now thinking about it. You couldn't help but just feel the energy of the love and the triumph over the disease, and the warm memories everyone had for those we've lost. And it was just a beautiful, beautiful day. And so I came home, and the thought in my mind that I couldn't get out of my mind was, I just spent my day in love. And it was such the change that I needed, because I, like all of you and all of us, we all get caught up in these intense times that are out in the world, whether it's the weather and these horrible storms that have been ravaging the States and other places, or it's the politics that we have here at home and in other places, and the war in Israel and other places in the Middle East, and the prejudices we feel. It's so intense. And it's hard to step out of that. And so I will tell you guys, any place you can go and just be in love, even for a few hours, wow, it really just gives you that refreshment, that refuge that you need. And that's what I wanted to talk about tonight, is that tug of war between taking care of our soul and soul care and all the responsibilities we have in our life. And I feel like so many of us are really caught up in that. And it's natural, because, we take responsibilities really seriously. And we want to make sure that we are, I'm just going back to my YouTube site so I can see your comments, guys. And, we all want to make sure that we're taking care of our families and our people and everything that we need to, survive in this three-dimensional world that we're all living in. But we want to also make sure that we're taking care of our soul. And that's why I do the soul space, because I want to give guidance to myself and other people, and all learn with you and learn together. So a couple of ways that we can get that feeling of love and compassion and beauty is, my number one way is I always go out and help somebody else. And I get that from my mom. My mom, Anne, she is a breast cancer person who died of breast cancer. Her cancer went actually into esophageal cancer, and she passed eventually. She actually watched her mother die of the disease of breast cancer, nursed her at home in those days. And then I watched my mom die of the disease. And then I got it 6 months later. And I am the third generation who broke the chain. Yay me. So I know I'm a lucky girl. And one of the ways that my mom always showed me to feel better about yourself was to go out and help somebody else. And I'm not a martyr or a saint. Believe me, I have my moments, right? I'm a strong person. But I've always remembered that even as a kid, my mom always made us give the clothes we outgrew to charity, or, give to other people. I told this story at her wake that when we were kids, we always had strangers in the car with us. Back in those days, you could do that, because if she saw someone walking home from the store carrying groceries or anything like that, she would just stop the car and pick them up. So, it's just my mom. She was kindness. She was very, I want to use the word Christ-like. She was extremely religious, Catholic, and she believed in Jesus her whole life. Jesus was like her thing, and her man. And she taught me how to say the rosary when I was 7. So mom taught me, if you want to raise your vibration and you want to feel better about yourself, go out and help somebody else. So we were taught that as kids, and we're a very charitable family. And I always, whatever abundance I've had in my life, I've always gone to try and give back in some way, So that's the number one thing I'm going to say to everybody. We get really caught up in this intensity. We get really caught up in violence sometimes, and it sucks us into the social media and YouTube and all these places. We start watching trials and people on trial, and we start, whether it's P. Diddy or a murderer, or it's somebody that murdered their husband or murdered their wife. All these things on TV now, Hulu and Netflix and Peacock and all these stations where we are, they all have these murders and these trials and these mysteries. One show is even called Monsters. You got to step out of that. It becomes obsessive. It permeates everything we do. So shut off the devices and go out and help some people, especially here in the States. We've collecting all this stuff for Hurricane Helene. God knows what's going to happen with Hurricane Milton barreling towards Florida. God help those people. We're going to send some energy out to there today. But get up off your couch, stop watching Netflix, and go help somebody. All right. I did that this Saturday. I have to do more of that. I start to become a couch potato sometimes this kind of time of year, and it's really not good because we're approaching fall in our area. The other thing about taking care of the soul and trying to feel better about everything, whether you're in challenge physically and battling something, or you are going to have surgery on something, or you have a lot of stress with your job, or your family's making you nuts. You can't live in that energy. You have to have something, some place, some mindset that you go to where you have a reprieve. That's taking care of your soul and your soul space. So, one of the things that I would say to do very, very first, right off the bat, because we all yearn for that meaning and that passion, that feeling of, just being connected with people, etc. So, one of the things I would say right off the bat is make sure that you understand that your responsibilities in the world and you're taking care of your soul are equally important. And that's where we start to stray because we forget that they're equally important. And by that, I don't mean that your responsibilities and your soul with every aspect are going to be equally meaningful. When we have to go to the grocery store and stock our freezer, that's not going to be as meaningful as taking care of our soul. But it's just as important because we need nourishment in order to take care of our soul. So wherever you look in your life, remember there's a thread that's bringing you back to the soul care in some way. Sometimes we have to deal with a very difficult person, whether that's at work or in our own family life. But where do you go back after that? Where do you plan to recharge, regroup, be with the soul again? Those are the loops that we need to put in place. And those are the loops that make both of those things just as important. Giving someone else our compassion and then coming home and giving compassion to ourselves. And if you remember the first, I think it was 2 podcasts ago when I first started to talk about Libra energy, I started to talk about Libra being the balance of connection and the way we relate to everything, including ourselves. When we go out and we feel Libran energy, we want to connect with someone. That's Libra. They're pairing. They relate, right? Libra is relationship. Wherever Libra is in your chart, you're going to really have relationship come into that area. I'm a 10th house Libra. I've built my career on relationships. So wherever that is in your chart is where you're going to want to really relate to something, relate to whatever that archetype is in that house. And with Libra, the way we relate is meant to configure ourselves, configure those relationships through the other and then back to ourselves. And where we go wrong with Libra energy, which we have so much of right now in the world, is we go to the other person for identity, our validation, our opinions, what we should think, what we should wear. Does this dress look good on me? No, you have a mirror. You know what looks good on you. Sometimes we want someone's opinion, but we can't be defined by it. Libran energy is an energy that in its lower form will have you defining yourself by the other. In its highest form, it takes what the other gives us and brings it within in order to configure ourselves. So we take someone's opinion, and not every opinion is going to be good, right? Not every opinion is going to be correct. Not every opinion is going to be meaningful. But we gain some wisdom and some knowledge there that we take back with us. We think about it, we configure it, and we use what we need in order to grow and elevate. The rest we don't need. So that's what we have to remember about creating space with Libran energy and creating space for us to be able to care for our soul and our responsibility, right? Because sometimes when we go to the other, we get a lot of guilt. We get a lot of shame. We get a lot of, oh, you should have done it this way. Oh, where were you? I thought you were coming. Well, you have to feed your soul in order to do any of those things. So remember, soul care is just as important. The other thing is that tug of war that we feel between 2 different worlds. I have that a lot because I have a very busy schedule. A lot of the things that I do now are really more like a means to an end. So it's almost like I know there are some things in my life that are very hectic now and take a lot of hours, but I know that's not the way my life is going to be in another couple of years, 4 years, 5 years. So for me, I know some of the things I have to do now are for a means to an end in order to be in a place where I actually have a tremendous amount more of energy and time to devote to my soul and these works that I love to do in my spiritual life. So remember that tug of war has to have a purpose. If you're just like a hamster in a cage running around all the time, take it from me. I'm a little older and a little wiser now. And when you're in your 30s, that hamster cage that you're on, 20 years goes like that. You're going to be in your 50s and you're going to be like, what have I been doing my whole life? How did I get here? So come off that hamster wheel, start taking care of this soul. So what do I mean by soul care? So by soul care, what I mean is, sorry, I'm just looking at the, I want to make sure I'm not missing your comments. So by soul care, what I mean, here we are. I got my comments. Okay, I got Sherry on, I got Marianne on. So what you want to do by taking care of your soul space is being quiet. One of the things that I do if I'm cooking or I'm just home is I put on meditation music or some beautiful spiritual music, or sometimes I even listen to really old music that was a little bit before my time, but I have a lot of old music in my life because I'm the youngest of 5 siblings. So like sometimes I'll cook a Sunday meal and I'll put on Frank Sinatra, or I'll put on, because my parents used to love that, or I'll put on Josh Groban. I love him. Another thing I listen to, believe it or not, is a lot of those melodic music, pop music from the 70s. I love Bread. If you ever listen to that group. The other person that I love is, it'll come back to me in a minute. I play his music so much because it's very spiritual as well. But he did Into the Mystic. Somebody had put up in the comments. So music is a beautiful way to take care of the soul. In my car, I don't play heavy metal unless I'm like going out for the night to hear a band and then I pump myself up. But I usually in my car, I listen to very calming stations because I want to have a mindset that is whole and not just totally distracted. Now, don't get me wrong. I love to dance. There are times when I put music on in my house and I get pumped up and I'm cleaning or dancing or just having friends over. But it's really important to me that I have a consciousness about what I'm listening to and what I am putting out there. So remember that when you're out there and you're thinking about, oh, I feel a little stressed, or, oh, I feel like I need to be more centered. Music is the first thing I go to. Music moves us, right? People say that all the time. Oh, that moves me. That piano concerto moved me. Or listening to. Lately, I was pulling up old Leanne Rhymes, and Leanne Rhymes has a beautiful, beautiful voice, and so sometimes her music will really set a tone and move me. And what does that mean when we say music moves us? It means it moves our energy. It's moving energy. It's moving. So if you want to get out of the doldrums, make sure you play music. One of the things when people are healing is, if you notice, like when I go to Sloan every year for my scans and checkups, they play in all the waiting rooms like very soft meditation music and beautiful music because it sets a vibe. So from the time I've been, working with my cancer group and doing healing work with the ladies, I have heard stories of certain ladies will listen to monks chanting when they're doing treatment, and all kinds of beautiful music. So remember, when my mom was sick, she used to listen to Josh Groban. Her favorite song was "You Raise Me Up." So pick something that is like your mantra and just really, really do it. There was a song that when I was in treatment was this hospital in Wisconsin did a song, and they did a video to it, and they were running all over the hospital, and it was like a pop song. And I used to always listen to that before I had treatment because it would just like put me in a vibe. So whether you're sick or healthy or just stressed, use music as a way to move you and set the tone for your soul work because it'll really help. Go to really quiet places. Sometimes if I'm out riding my bike or walking by the lake by my house, I pop into the church and I just sit there for a few minutes. Sometimes I talk to people in the church, or sometimes I talk to the angels, or sometimes I just, kneel in front of the statue of Mary or somebody and just, say a few prayers. But when was the last time you walked into a sanctuary? A church or an arboretum or a monument or a place. When was the last time you did that, when you walked into a place of silence and just sat there and listened to your breath? And that's the other way that we take care of our soul, is our breath. Breath work, breathing in and out deeply on certain counts, doing yoga work and breath work. All of that is really, really important because the very first relationship you ever have with anything is your breath. The very last thing that you do before you leave this earth is breathe. So the first thing you do in the world and the last thing you do in the world is your breath. So I would say it's important to have a good relationship with it. And think about that. How are you breathing? I have a tendency, especially when I'm working in my real estate life, to breathe from very shallow. And then I wonder why I'm lightheaded, right? So remember, breathe deeply. Try and find that diaphragm. Lay on the floor or on a chair and place your hands on your belly and feel yourself really going up and down, exhaling and inhaling, you know, That's a beautiful way to just get in touch with soul space and soul care. So create that space and set your priorities. I've used the analogy 100 times with clients and people I mentor, and also here in the soul space, and that is the totem pole. So, Indians or American Indians, whatever we call them, indigenous people, um, have totem poles, right? So do I think certain other cultures. And so on that totem pole, it sets a priority, who's on the top. And then as you go down the totem pole, who's there? Well, what's on the top of your totem pole? If it's making the bills or making dinner or the dog or your children or whatever, no, you have to be on the top of the totem pole. Because if you're not, and you're not your highest priority, none of those other things are going to function. So really wanted to talk about that soul care. And then also another thing that's helped me a lot with soul care and just trying to get into a vibe in this crazy world where you're more solid. And I'm going to tell you why it's so important in a few minutes, because more important than ever now. But one of the things that I think about a lot is rituals and routines. And I have been going to the gym every morning. The gym is not my thing. I don't like the noise. I don't like the lights. I don't like the music. Um, I'm a yogi. I like to be on my mat. But as I get older, I need more strength training. And I had, as you guys know, a bad fall last year and ended up in a wheelchair. Now I'm running around doing everything again, thank God. But it showed me that I need to keep my body more pumped with muscle. And yoga does that in a different way. But in order for me to be able to go back to my yogic practice, I had to build up muscle in my lower body. And now my gym ritual is spiritual for me, believe it or not. Before I enter the gym, I have earbuds in. I don't hear their music. I oftentimes am really in another world because what's in my ears is either astrology mentors. I use that time to listen and catch up on classes that I'm taking, or some of the mentors that I've worked with previously on mentorships and private instructor. I listen back to those things. Sometimes I play spiritual music or listen to someone like Lee Harris or, one of the famous astrologers that are out there, or a very spiritual person. Sometimes I'll listen to a biography of someone that I admire. And the gym has become my quiet time, believe it or not. I'm on the incumbent machine, I'm lifting weights, and I'm in a completely different space. So, and that taught me that our mind over matter is the most powerful thing that we have. So don't say you can't meditate, and don't say you can't find quiet space, because if I found it in a loud, noisy, brightly lit purple gym, you can find it anywhere. And then setting clear boundaries. That's also the energy that is extremely prominent in our lives right now. Setting clear boundaries is one of the hardest things that we can do in regards to soul care. I always say, I've had a lot of tragedy and triumph in my life. I've walked away from a lot of people I've loved, had to. I have also had a lot of things taken away from me that I really valued. The hardest thing I ever had to do in my whole entire life was what we're talking about now. Learning to slow my roll and love myself. And by loving myself, I don't just mean like having a good self-worth. That's part of it. I mean loving myself enough to eat nutritious food, go to the gym when I really don't like it, have that discipline, to be able to not go into some place that's going to disturb my peace whenever possible, and really love myself on the daily, not going, I love myself, I'm the greatest things in sliced bread. No, it's just, I don't need to be there. That's not good for me. I'm going to go over here now. No, I'm not going to pick up that phone call because that person will find someone else to play a victim or listen to their 100th million thing of how horrible their life is. They don't want my help. I'm not going to let them disturb my peace. That's self-care. That is soul care. Because when I took back my energy for all those things that I never really had the discipline and the border boundaries to do, then my energy went for some really beautiful things in my life. And I started to actually love myself more because I was happy. So you've got to start removing things with love, with love. Otherwise, it won't be good. You don't want to give yourself more stress. Remove things with love. Maybe you do answer that phone and you say, listen, I'm really sorry. I have as much sympathy as I possibly can for you, and I empathize with what you're going through. However, the priorities in my life don't allow me to spend an hour on the phone today. Is there something important you needed? And you'll be surprised. That person will hang up. They'll be a little angry, and that's fine because you know what? When no one else listens to them, they will call back and they won't be angry anymore. And it's going to be your choice if you still let them do it to you or not. That's soul care. Showing love, showing compassion, not being angry, not being mean, just putting yourself on the top of the totem pole. Embrace imperfection. This is very, very important and very hard to do. I used to be a perfectionist about my home. When we first remodeled my home 20 years ago, we were building a whole new house. I would get so high strung about things because it was like really important to me. I never really had a home that nice, and I wanted to have really beautiful things. And my husband and I at the time came up very fast into a very affluent place. We worked hard, and it was so meaningful to me. I thought I had all these things to prove. I didn't. I had to learn that 10 years later. So make sure that the imperfections are perfect. A lot of times now something will happen and, a painter will come and they'll spill paint, or I'll be doing something in the garden and I'll go over and realize that plant's dead. And somebody will be like, oh my God, that plant's dead. Or, oh my God, look what they did to that wall. And I always say, a blind man would be glad to see it. That's my thing, because you have to realize life is perfectly imperfect. And one of the things that's taught me that is being in my astrology group with people from all over the world. We are all so different and all have different personalities and different strengths. And we all let each other be who we are. And it's just such perfect imperfection, and the continuous circuit of love and way that we all like are helping each other and strengthening each other is the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. And it's just divinely guided because we all let go and weren't trying to make anything perfect. So try that. Just don't worry about the perfection. There's never going to be any perfection in this world anyway. So you don't want to spend the 80, 90 years you have on this earth, God willing, trying to make everything perfect. It's futile. You're better off trying to get yourself to a place where you're accepting imperfection and it's okay. And you did the best you could. And you know what? It looks pretty beautiful. The other thing is learn to delegate and collaborate. I saw something on Facebook the other day that said, some people don't want to be on the ship unless they're the captain. How true is that, right? We all know those kind of people. Don't be that person. Aren't you just glad you're on the ship? Aren't you just glad you're on the boat? You don't have to be the captain. You don't have to control everything. And if you feel compelled to control everything and you're skitzing out about stuff, please go someplace, go to someone, find a mentor, find a friend, find someone that you can process your unprocessed emotions with, because that is coming from unprocessed emotion. When I was so high strung about my home and building this home and all these things, I was trying to prove something. And you know what I was trying to prove? I was trying to prove I was good enough. I was trying to prove I didn't come from that house where it was a little violent and things happened that shouldn't happen. And there was abuse and people weren't so nice. I lived in a place now where that wasn't going to happen. That was total crap. So whatever unprocessed emotion you have is going to come out in your daily life. And if you're a control freak, that's what it is. You've got something unprocessed you need to process. If you want a reading, come to me. I'll see it in your astrology chart. We'll help you fix it. So embrace the imperfection and learn to delegate and collaborate. You can't do that unless you're not a control freak anymore. And we all have tendencies like that. Sometimes I'm like that about my business. And then I got to be like, you know what? So now I put on a sticky thing on my work when I leave my office at night, and it says, see you tomorrow. And that little sticky thing there that says, see you tomorrow, makes me feel so much better because I'm like, you know what? I really don't have to clear my desk every night. So remember, imperfections and non-controlling behaviors lead you to more collaboration and more delegation, because now I've learned to ask questions, and I don't need to be the captain of the ship. Maybe somebody else feels that way. And so then I'll basically just kind of say something like, do you think our captain's doing a really good job? And it shifts the energy. Or I'll say, wow, look at that person. They seem to really know what they're doing here. It's so nice to have somebody who's so great at this, right? Change your mindset. And then the most important thing is self-compassion. part of integrating those unprocessed emotions in order to be able to sit in our soul space and go into our soul care is integrating the soul and responsibility. And almost everything that I just said is really the culmination of that. Learning what purposeful work is. How do I want to use my time? The correct use of my energy. What is it? Where is it? How am I going to do it? Right? A lot of times I used to go to the store every day. Oh, I need milk. Oh, I need eggs. I don't do that anymore. I go to the store like maybe once or twice a week. I combine trips places. It's not just for economical reasons. It's also because it gives me a lot more time and frees me up for other things. Um, Also, people that know me know I'm a clothes horse. I've always been like a really great dresser, and I always like to look a certain way. And I just really like, that's one of my things. I'm a Libra. Librans do that. And COVID destroyed that, of course. I used to say I'm visiting my work clothes, my closet. But one of the things I hated most about um, the pandemic was COVID was I couldn't get to wear my cute outfits to work. Seriously. I was like so upset I couldn't get dressed every day. So that was a thing for me. And I've scaled that back so much now. I've learned to look cute and casual and not have to like always buy things for each season. And like I've really combined stuff. And why did I do it? Well, it does save money, but also basically why I did it is because like I used to spend a lot of time shopping, and now I get to spend that time doing astrology charts, writing blogs that are really meaningful to me, working on my book, sketching beautiful pieces that I hope to put in a book one day, talking to you guys, planning the show. I'm not, at the mall. So I'm not, hanging around Nordstrom. So it's really cool. And so that's what I mean by your daily life. It sounds superficial, but just look at where you're spending your energy. And if you're not sure, look at your calendars and look at your ATM cards, because that's going to tell you where you're spending your thing. Like if you're calling DoorDash all the time, maybe one of the things you could do is preparing meals together with someone in your life. And that would be a really beautiful thing to do. So purposeful work, purposeful energy. Infuse your responsibilities with purpose, right? Instead of it being a drudgery that, oh, I have to go see my mother in the nursing home again, make it something beautiful. Do her nails for her. Take her out to lunch if you can. Make it really beautiful, try and use your work to be purposeful. Anything that you need to do that's obligation. Take creative breaks. I do that. I started to do that several years ago when I worked in an office prior to COVID for many years. At 12:30 every day, I got up and I used to go to this park where there were animals and things. Like they had cows and horses. And I used to eat my lunch with the cows and the donkeys every day and love it. I used to take walks in the snow there. It was just a beautiful little park, state park. And so try and do that. Like during work hours, take creative breaks, walk around the block, go get some nutritious food, do something that makes you feel like you're back in your soul. One of the things that I do in my small office at Signature, where Premier Properties, where I work, is, and I do it in my home offices too. What I do is I always have music on that really is uplifting. It just makes my day seem different. I oftentimes will bring in a desk lamp instead of using overhead lamps. I don't like the harsh lighting. I feel like it burns us out. So I always have some beautiful lamps on in my offices. And make sure on your weekends are your weekends. I know that's hard, especially when you're in an industry like real estate, like myself, but make sure you're taking off at least one weekend a month, or you're doing something during the week that is like your weekend. Maybe Wednesday's your Saturday, right? However that goes. I know a lot of us now do shift work and working different things, but become immersive in experiences that bridge the gap between responsibility and a soul space and soul care. Like your drive time, make it a transitional part. Don't go in the house as, the executive, as the worker, as the, supermarket checker, as the bank person, as the highway guy. Go in the house as you, because you've had a transition period, and vice versa. Don't go to work as the person you are with your family. Go to work in a work mode where you're going to be purposeful, right? So that's all taking care of the soul. And it becomes mindfulness. It becomes throughout the day, taking a few moments to drop down into the heart space. You've really got to do that. If you don't know how, just close your eyes for a few minutes. You can do it now. And think about something really happy. It could be a big, grand thing in your life, maybe the birth of a child or a graduation, or you made a home run for the first time, or learned to ride a two-wheeler. Or it could just be an Oreo cookie that you ate 2 days ago and you just were like, that Oreo was so good. And then just smile at your heart. Like close your eyes and embrace that moment and smile at your heart, you know? And so you want to do that. Be where your feet are throughout the day. Wiggle your toes. No one ever sees you do that, you know? So wiggle your toes on a regular basis. Sometimes what I do is if I find myself getting really hyped up and I have a few minutes on my way to a place, I pull over. I'll pull in a parking lot or, by something scenic, and I'll just sit there for a couple of minutes. And I'll be like, okay, Georgia, what are you doing today? How are you feeling? How's your body feel? Where's your breath? Find it. Oh, okay, there's my breath. Oh, I got to make that a little deeper, not so shallow. And I talk to myself throughout the day. So I'm connected with myself. I'm not disconnected because we're living in a world that wants to disconnect us. Shock, everything has to be shocking, right? From the TikTokers to the world news to entertainment to movies to everything has to be shocking. It's not good for our nervous system. Pull over, relax, have a donut, eat a sandwich, have a healthy salad, play some music, play on the floor with your dog. Get back to who you are, what you're meant to be. We're all confused and we don't know what's real and we don't know what's true because we're disconnected from our own intuition. We're disconnected from our own realities. Your reality isn't on a box. It's not on a device. It's not anything you're going to hold in your hand. Your reality is within you, in us. So remember that. And remember, you have a dream somewhere. Maybe it's new and you're young and you have this beautiful dream. Maybe you're older and you had one and you forgot it and you have sometimes a hard time pulling it out. And you need a corkscrew. But your dreams are there and they're in your intuition and you need to find them. And the way you do that is take a stop, take a pause, go into a place where you are connecting with your soul. That's why we do the Soul Space podcast. All right. So I want to just go to the astrology really quick. And I promised my friend Sherry I'd give her some advice tonight, and that was it. And I'm going to look at your chart afterward, Sherry, and I'll probably send you an email. So last week on the show, I gave you some questions for the energy. And the questions for the energy were, I'm looking at my cue cards, were what have you learned about yourself and what you need from relationships? That's what this energy is all about. Pluto finishing up in Capricorn, Gemini and Jupiter, words, talking, Mercury, Mars in Cancer is also, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Things feel surreal right now because the energy is swirling around, right? So what have you learned about yourself so far and what do you need from relationships? That's what you need to start thinking about and going forward for. What commitments have started to feel too restrictive or limiting? Those are the priorities that go to the bottom of the totem pole, unless you can bring something purposeful to them. I'll give you an example. I am volunteer for the Babylon Breast Cancer Coalition, and I do a monthly Reiki circle, and we always set the time in advance. What I'm going to try to do now is set those dates 6 months in advance so that I'm more purposeful and I know they're coming. So it doesn't get so erratic and I can really give my whole 100% potential to the ladies. So there's something that you can do to make something better, more purposeful, or maybe you need to let it go. What do you need to release to create more freedom and step into the person you want to be and who you are becoming? And think about that. What did you do in the last week? Because every action you took in the last week is indicative of who you're becoming. If I'm running around like a maniac and I have 50,000 clients and I can't talk to everybody and I don't remember the one from yesterday and, I forgot to make that person call back. I'm becoming a maniac. I'm becoming manic. I'm becoming ineffective. I'm becoming non-productive. I'm headed for an illness or a fall. So think about who are you becoming based on your daily and what do you need to change because you need to take care of the soul. So the last show we talked a lot about the Libra energy, endings predicated on beginnings. Now we are in the October time when we're approaching that. We've got a big full moon coming up October 17th in Aries, which is going to give us the action towards change that we need to take. That's very important. But we have a few days before then, and I want to go over that energy with you guys. So this week, October continues our focus on our choices. And like I said in the top of the show, those choices are about where have we been and where are we going? How can we do things a different way? What choices do we need to make to do it differently? Are we going to continue the way it always has been? Or are we going to start a whole new way? Because when Pluto goes into Aquarius in November, it's going to be like a total shift of energy. Really, a lot of energy shifts are starting this month and in towards the end of the year. And you're going to feel them. And it's a time for us to take really productive aim at our energy and what we really, really, really want to do and what we want our lives to be like. That's one of the reasons things feel surreal, because as our energy and our vibration and our bodies and our minds and our hearts and our soul and our ethereal fields change, the things that we're used to doing don't feel right anymore. They don't align with us. They don't match our vibration because we're headed for another place. That's why we got to get our soul in alignment. So Chiron in Aries is making a contact with Jupiter in Gemini. And this is an energy for healing. It's an opportunity I cannot stress enough to you guys, because I'm working with this energy a lot. This is deep, deep healing. We finally have an amazing opportunity to dig deep and bring out the wounds, the unprocessed emotions, the things we didn't deal with, and bring them up to the surface in order for us to have deep healing and move our lives forward. However, Mars in Cancer is an energy, and it's going to be there for a long time because it goes retrograde, a couple of months. Mars in Cancer is a suppressive energy. Sometimes with Mars in Cancer, we feel angry and we repress it, we suppress it, and then it comes out as a big, huge thing. You're going to see that happening a lot in the next couple of weeks, especially. You're going to see that happen a lot up until the elections in the United States. It's a big, big transition. So try not to do that. Deal with your stuff in a healthy way. Stop clamping everything down so that it makes us sick or it brings us to a place where we explode, because that's this energy. Don't think too much. Go into the heart. This is not an energy of the head. You want to use the fire of Aries and the inner landscape, the beautiful energy of compassion and healing and heart work with Mars in Cancer to really move that Chiron Aries forward. So now this is a great time for awareness, conscious awareness, for productive activity, production, not destruction. So we're still in the midst of a Saturn-Pluto square. That's an energy of tension. It's a really hard aspect between desire and what we desire and the situations and the structures that we have in our life that are limiting. And that's why I wanted to do the show tonight about soul space and soul care versus our responsibility. The Pluto-Saturn square embodies that energy and amplifies it for all of us. It's going to give us all a real run for our money with those transitions, and those things are going to come up. So try and take a step back and go into that energy so you know where you have to make changes. Make sure you're reading the room. If there's people that you need to talk to, boundaries you need to put in, read the room, because this energy for the next couple of weeks into November is really volatile and can be really ugly, an ugly energy, but it can also be used for beautiful revelation and healing. It's just polarized and very extreme either way. So make sure you're taking, again, that soul care and that soul step. All right. We also do have Mercury and Jupiter forming energy of a trine, which is a flowing energy. That brings in some sweet energy as well. It's like sour and sweet, ugly and beautiful. It's very, very transparent in the linkage of it, in where the definition is. You've got to find it in your own life. Mars in Cancers can hold on to rage. It'll suppress anger and then come out. So make sure you're using the sweetness of Mercury and Jupiter to find where you can allow that compassion to flow. October 8th is one of our toughest days. We've got a retrograde Mars. We've got, retrograde. Yeah, retrograde Mars. Mars is going to go retrograde. We've got the Moon, Chiron, Mercury, and Jupiter. It is healing and optimism. But I will tell you, Tuesday can be a good day, but then after that, we go into some real wonkiness until that moon. I'll be talking about that moon energy in the next show. Jupiter is retrograde, which strengthens the healing of Chiron. But Jupiter is also making a lot of aspects to other planets that can make it really harsh. So this is an energy, again, of adjustment. We won't be able to find the resolutions until after that moon on the 17th. So be patient. It's an energy that's going to bring in a lot of things coming up from the surf, some from deep within. That's Pluto. It's in its final degrees of Capricorn. It's forming very hard yod, what we call finger of guard aspects, which is the choices. They're not easy to make. It's easy to mess up your choices in this energy. If you're really sitting on the fence about a major decision, just don't do anything until you absolutely have to. Try and get rid of a sense of urgency. Go into the soul space to find your decisions. Um, on October 11th, another yod forms. Yods are a finger of God. They're like a triangle. And what they do is they have a pressure point and a release point. The release points the rest of this month and into November are really important time for choices because they're releasing challenges that are being released by Pluto so that our soul's desire can come through. And oftentimes the challenges show us what we need to release in order to find the soul's desire and activate that intention. Yods are bringing out Venus and Mercury energy. It's not easy, but it can be very productive, very productive. It's like, you got to break the eggs in order for them to get scrambled and fluffy. It's like that. It's for healing and problem solving. That's what yods cause challenges for. Yods don't cause challenges to make our lives miserable. They cause challenges for us to get up off our butts and make the change that is needed to really be into the beautiful alignment with the soul and what our true dreams and intentions are in our life. Pluto is going to go direct in Aquarius November 19th. So I would say let anything that's coming up from the depths, let it come out, work with it, use this energy to really, really make it productive for you because it can be destructive if you don't allow it to. There's a lot of fear also wrapped around these transits in the next couple of weeks. That's okay. Please don't go into the fear that's out there in the external world. If you have internal fear, release it and let yourself deal with it. I've been doing that every day in very deep meditation, spending time with myself, and really reminding myself I don't have anything to fear and that the universe always has my back. If you think an astrology reading is going to help you really delve deep into these things, please reach out. You can book that right through my site, zenkuda.com. This is an energy where there's a lot of aspects being made to Chiron. We have the sun squaring Mars. Sun is also at certain points opposite of Chiron. This is an energy where the things in our life, Chiron is the wounded healer. It's where we carry wounds that come in for us to heal so our soul can progress in this lifetime. Very, very deep work. The sun is illuminating those things these next couple of weeks. And then, we do have some hard days ahead. I will tell you the weekend coming up, Saturday, Sunday, the 12th, the 13th. Please be aware of any anger and try to deal with it in a healthy way. Go to fair, compassionate places. Kind of take a step back because we are going to see with, Mercury headed to Scorpio, Venus finishing up there. These are power plays. As we go into this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, going to be a lot of power plays. But we all know, sometimes when I'm in a power play, I will actually just take a pause when I'm in an argument or, something gets the better of me, or maybe someone's coming at me and I'm very calm. I always just say, angels, please come in right now and show me what I need to say and do. Please, angels, show me the right action. Whoever, if you have a guide or an angel or anyone, bring them in and allow them to help you decide what's really true. Venus is going to oppose Uranus on the 15th, right after this hard weekend that's coming up. Wait it out. Don't react. Do your work. Do your inner work. Whatever you bring out from that, we have time to bring that into the world. We have time to confront or work through. This energy of Aries in Chiron, North Node is there, the sun's opposing that. That is really can be impulsive, a lot of impulsive ideas. We're going to have a rock and roll week, guys, and it's an opportunity to bring our higher consciousness and healing really in a powerful way to the forefront. We have choices. Are we going to do that and go into our soul space, into our soul care, and care for ourselves in order to bring out the beautiful, beautiful energy that we want to bring forward to the world, who we can become and who we are becoming? Or are we going to go with 60% of humanity or better that's just going to spill their guts out on the sidewalk, protest everything, talk about their wounds, be angry, and not be productive. We have a choice. How are you going to move your life forward? Because we have an amazing energy right now to really move the train forward. If we go in, allow Pluto to bring out the dregs of whatever's left after its 15 years in Capricorn, and really make a place for our soul to be activated and follow our dreams. And that's really what these choices are about. So take some of the advice I gave everybody. I'm going to take my own advice that I took the first half of the show and really spend some time in my soul care, soul connection, and soul space. Maybe you need to bring some friends over for a meditation. You can play a guided meditation on YouTube and have a little Zen party, right? Just talk and laugh. Go out in nature. Join a couple of people for a walk, but definitely put yourself somewhere. I have this soul card that I pulled from my own deck, Circle of Light. You can get these cards on my website. They're Circle of Light cards. There are 22 cards in a deck. I believe the price is $35, I think. They're on the website, zenkuda.com, and you can purchase them. They'll be sent to you. And today I picked this beautiful card called Intuition. And this is the card that I picked before the show. It's number 17, Intuition. I'm going to hold it up for the camera. I hope you guys can see it. These are beautiful cards. They're all original artwork and photos. And I'm just going to read you guys what Intuition says, and then we'll close the show with that, because it's really important. And it was just so beautifully fitting when I picked it for tonight's show. So here we are. Intuition is flashes of divine light. These thoughts are given to you to keep you on a divinely guided path in your life. Pay attention to your intuition and gut instincts. Too often we ignore these genuine feelings and focus on external influences instead of trusting our own divinity, guided thoughts to move us forward. This card is reminding you to go within and listen to the voice of your soul louder than any other. When you become practiced at listening to your inner voice and relying on your body to give you clues, you will find your life moving in harmony with the universe. Your body responds to life with comfort or dis-ease and never lies to you. Rely on the intuition of your physical being as well as your inner thoughts to show you right action. Honor your intuition as a unique gift from the Creator to light your path. Our bodies never lie to us. We can be in rest, we heal, we go into the soul space, we take a moment, whether that's playing with our animals or going out in nature or just pulling to the side of the road and taking a breath. It's there that we find our intuition, that we know truth, and we become a solid human with an agency that leads us in divine flow with the universe. Thank you so much for tuning into the Soul Space. Please share the show. If you haven't already, like all our social media, Zenkuda Soul Space on Facebook, Zenkuda Official on Instagram, and of course, Zenkuda on YouTube. You can book a reading with me on zenkuda.com if you'd like some personal coaching or a reading. Thanks so much. I am Georgia Rose, your psychic astrologer, and I hope to see you back here next Monday at 7. Until then, don't let the intensity of this energy get you. Go into your soul space. Thanks so much. I'll see you all next Monday.